Hello, guys. It is Deanna Green, and welcome to another episode of Let's Be Raw, where we're having real, authentic conversation with amazing women that are going to be vulnerable, they're going to be transparent, and they're just going to be open to sharing their story with no judgment, no feelings of insecurity, just understanding that this is a safe place. But more importantly, I want you all to lean into this conversation today. Take notes, comment below after you watch this video. Make sure you also follow us, subscribe, like, and share. And just get ready and sit back because we're getting ready to get into an amazing topic tonight. Tonight's topic on Let's Be Raw is about girl, get up, okay? Finding strength when the world shuts down, and so do you. And I want to open this up with our topic tonight, and y'all know how I do. I'm not going to introduce my guest. I am going to let this beautiful woman do her own introduction. But I want to make sure that you understand that the reason why this topic is so profound is because when you're in a moment of trauma, and you cannot see in front of you, behind you, beside you. And then, like the title goes, the world just keeps going on. How do you say, not just girl, get up, but actually get up? So welcome to tonight's episode. And I'm going to pass this over to my beautiful guest. Please introduce yourself to the Let's Be Raw community.
Thank you, Deanna. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you. My name is Diana Gonzalez. And I am here with the beautiful Deanna Green. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I appreciate the opportunity.
So one of the things I also like to do with the introduction is the reason why this platform was also created was I feel like in this day and age, a lot of connection is lost when people first meet each other. Because the first thing we want to do is talk about our accolades. We want to talk about what we do and not who we are. So I want you to just kind of expound a little bit on who is Diana. Yes.
Well, for starters, I am a mother. I'm a mother of two, boy and a girl, twins, my babies, and a mama of a dog, Django.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Catalin is the sassy princess of the house.
Okay.
And my son, who's my pride and joy, his name is Kalen.
Okay.
And I'm just an entrepreneur.
All righty.
I'm a go-getter. I get that from my mom. I love. Okay. I love to laugh, and I'm just grateful to be here.
What do you love to do in your spare time?
Oh my! Besides reading, I like to sleep.
Okay,
I love that. Entrepreneurs, we don't sleep much,
right?
But I do like to get my rest and also find the time for my kids.
Okay.
You know, spend some time with them. One-on-one, sometimes I do, and I also do it as a whole. When I do my one-on-ones with them, I take them out. Me and my son and my daughter, sometimes we do like a little mom-daughter dates or mother-son dates, just so that I can have that connection with them. You know, just learn about their world. You know, in this day and age with the computers and the social media, we tend to not have that time to get to know our children. And so, because they're in middle school, I have to be all hands-on with them, you know? And that's one of the things that I like to do. And just learn from others, help out. I always give back to my community. I do attend to one of my churches. It's over in A-Leaf. That's where I grew up at.
Okay.
And it's called Church of the Cross. I've been attending to that church probably for like 12 years.
Okay.
This is right before the twins came. So I kept driving through that church. It was first building up, and it just kept calling my name. And that's that's my congregation. That's where I go.
Okay.
That's my home.
Well, did y'all hear that? That is Miss Diana.
Yeah.
Well, welcome again. So before we get started, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to toast to this episode.
Yes.
And we're going to get this going. All right.
Yeah.
So here's to an amazing interview. The courage and the strength for you to want to share your world, your life, and your story with all of us.
Thank you.
Cheers, sis.
Cheers to that.
Oh, that's good. Okay. All right. So let's jump into this. So Our topic tonight is about, and it's really focused on your time during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why, when you and I were talking about what was going to be your storyline, because I'm sure you've got a ton of stories, ton of things you could share. And one I'm going to ask is, when I said to you, what storyline did you want to tell? Why was it so profound for you to take it back 5 years? Because literally March of 2020, right, is when the world shut down.
Right.
And on this episode, what we want to make sure that we leave with is the fact that although COVID happened 5 years ago and most people have recovered from it, there's so many of us that are still living in that moment. There's so many of us that are still trying to get up, right? To reset, to rebuild. Mm-hmm. And so when you and I were talking, I'm like, that's profound. Because for me, I'm the person that once it's in the past, it's in the past. I'm just going to keep moving forward and keep pushing. But that's easier said than done. And so I equate this episode also to when giving birth, right? And we talk about, you and I talked about this off camera, especially being mothers, we understand it. And when you're in childbirth and you're at that process of pushing and the pain is intense, I know for most of us mothers, the first thing we think is, we will never do this shit again. Like, who said that we're supposed to be pushing this human being out of us, right? But one of the things I realized is that after having 3 kids, is people would ask me, oh, so how was your labor, right? And I could never truly articulate the pain. I knew there was pain there. And so I researched it and looked it up, and, God turns off that receptor in our mind. Otherwise, we wouldn't keep procreating, right? And so I think that that's what happens a lot of time in trauma, too, is that we feel like, oh, we're out of it, and we keep moving on. And then either something triggers us or we experience it. And then you realize, wait a minute, I really can articulate what I went through, and I'm not all the way through it. I'm not past it. Mm-hmm. And again, just how to know how to get up and who to lean on during that time. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start with the first question for you.
Sure.
When the world goes silent, learning to hear God in your darkest moments. And I want you to take us to that first moment, whenever it was happening during COVID, that you just was like, I'm sitting on the floor. I can't get up. What do I do?
Well, first of all, I want to just give a special shout out to God. Mm-hmm. Because if it had not been for him, I would probably not be here today. Mm-hmm. When COVID started shutting down the world entirely, at that time I was working in oil and gas. And of course, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, in our culture, because I come from a Hispanic culture, we have the tendency of taking care of our families, right? And putting our families on our back and be a provider, and so I've always been there for my family. And when COVID happened, I felt like I was helpless. I couldn't help anyone. I couldn't move anywhere. I was stuck, right? Then the layoffs started happening, and it was a tsunami. It changed everything. I felt like I failed them. I felt like I failed myself. I failed my kids. I feel lost because I've always worked. I've always been a hustler. I've been working since I was 13 years old. I come from Colombia. So my family, everyone there, no matter what type of job you did, what type of work you did, you always bring something home. And I come from a family, a background of everybody going out and get it no matter what, right? So I felt extremely bad because I couldn't help. At the time, my mother was incarcerated.
Oh, wow.
My mom was doing time in a federal prison. And of course, she was my responsibility. Although I have siblings, I'm the oldest out of 4.
I know about that.
And so being the oldest out of 4, you're like the leader, right?
You become the matriarch.
Correct.
Even though you didn't ask for that role.
Okay. So, so that was my biggest stress, was my mother. At the time I was dating my now husband, and he was really good to me. He was supportive. I fell into depression. I've always have suffered from depression. I just never really pointed it out
and put a name to it.
and never put a name to it. But once COVID started taking away our freedom, taking away the freedom for us to go out and enjoy life and being able to interact with you face to face, and I was just at home with my children. Mind you, they were taking homeschool. They were being homeschooled by their teachers because now they have these computers, right? And so, and then of course I was working until I got laid off. When I get laid off, I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Because I've always been independent. You know, I moved out of my house when I was 18 years old. Been hustling ever since, making my money, however, and making it, making sure that my family was good, especially my mother.
And so with your mother being incarcerated, what was the responsibility? Like, how much were you able to even do in that situation?
Well, because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a hustler, I always find my ways to make sure that she got what she needed. Not what she wanted, but what she needed, right? My youngest brother, he helped out. And that was a time when I said, hey, my hands are tied. I can't do anything. You guys are going to have to step up because I cannot do it all. At that time, I moved in with my now husband, and I've just felt defeated, Deanna, because I surrendered my car. I gave up my space, although it wasn't right, my independence, although it wasn't against my will, because at that time we were serious about moving forward with our relationship. It still took a minute for me to kind of process everything, right? Okay, I'm pretty much changing my whole dynamic of being a single mother of two to now moving in with someone, and it's a different ballgame then. And we're still dealing with this COVID, and we're still dealing with being restricted from doing things. And now we're silent. We're silenced because we're wearing a mask, right? And the only person that I could count on was myself. And no offense to any of my friends or family members or even my significant other, no one could get me out of that dark place that I was in, that I was falling into, that sunken place that I was getting myself into. No one could pull me out of there. No matter who had the best interest or the advice or advice, no one could. No one could. I had to do that. So fast forward to 2021, I get sick with COVID.
So you went all of 2020 not sick with it, and then get it in 2021.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay.
Which is when the world is starting to open back up at this point.
And I'm ready to go out, you know? So I'm ready to go out and give me a job.
I'm ready to get my freakum dress and go out and party.
You know, just do stuff. You know, at the time I was 30, I was like 38, I think 30, 39. And I'm like, okay, Diana, what's up, girl? Like, what's really going on? Like, where do we go from here? What are we doing? So my husband said, well, you have a background in accounting. You're bilingual. Yeah. Let's get this construction off the ground. We have a business now that you'll be a good fit for. I said, okay, cool. So I jumped into that. But prior to getting into the business, I got sick, right? So I'm quarantining in the guest room. And I'm like wanting to hug my kids, you know, send them to school, get up in the morning to get them ready. My dog is literally by the door every single day. Because they don't know nothing about no COVID. he's loyal. Lord Jesus, that dog is so loyal. But, you know, just not being able to provide for my family as a wife or as a mother, not being able to cook for them and take care of them, I feel so helpless, and I was going crazy in that little room, you know. And so that was a time when I sat back and I said, okay, I need to figure out what's going to happen after I get out of this room, because a lot of things all started surfacing, and I started finding out stuff that I needed to reconsider a lot of things. And when you sit back and you just be quiet.
Say that again. Ooh, there's a whole lot of revelations that happen.
When you sit back and you just sit back and you just be like, okay, let me just sit back and observe everything. And just clear those lenses, you see things differently.
Because it's not rose-colored anymore.
Absolutely not.
Don't have no filter.
And God was just revealing everything that I needed to see at that time.
So let's talk about that. So before we even fast forward to starting to get back into the work side of it, I want to stay where it is COVID side, because you touched on a lot of key things that I think that women as a whole can relate to. One, you talked about, being the oldest, being the one that everybody depends on, being independent, leaving home at a very young age and never looking back. Like, I left at 17 and I was like you, like I say it all the time. And I have a great relationship with my mother, but I was always the one that said, I will hook on the street before I go back home. Like, I promise you, I meant every word of that. I was hooked on the street before I was going back home to my mama. Now my mama, she takes it, and she was like, I was like, we just couldn't be two queens in a household. Yeah. And I had a son too. So I was technically a mother. So to me, I'm like, I got to have my own place and make my own rules.
Right.
So you touched on those things. You also touched on feelings of guilt. Like, I really want us to even stay in that moment, because that guilt was such a catalyst to that depression.
Right.
Because you're over here saying everybody is depending on me, and not even realizing that your cup was completely empty. You couldn't pour if you wanted to. There was not a drop in there for you to give any. But I promise you were probably over there like, you probably looking, trying to figure out how you gonna squeeze it out. You don't want to say no to anyone, because you've internalized that for every yes that you did, that was an accomplishment.
Right.
And the moment you had to say no,
I'm the bad guy.
You're the bad guy.
And I'm gonna own that.
So let's just stay there, because I think that there's a huge part of that contributed to that depression. And that for women that are watching this, if you are in those particular moments right now, Diana is literally telling you what's coming next, right? What's coming next is, you can best believe whether you want to put a word on it. I am depressed. I am going into a state of depression. That's what's going to happen. So in those particular moments, like, run through those feelings. You have to now call your mom or accept a phone call from her, collect, and say, I don't have it this month, Mom. I can't do it.
Yeah. So when they were in lockdown, they can call.
Oh, so now you're even more worried, because you don't know what's going on with
that. I would call the correction facility, and I will inquire about my mother. And I got a hold of her counselor, and I would just tell her, hey, just let her know we're good.
This is about being real, raw, and authentic. So if it has to come out, it has to come out. That's why you got that box of tissue right there.
I might have to grab one too. I saw you moving that box. Yeah. I'm like, here comes the tears. But I just had a mixture of good. When you enable people, and it's hard for you to say no to them, and you say no the first time, you're the bad guy. You're, oh no, you got it. You just don't want to help me. You got it. Because mind you, by that time I'm now with my husband, right? So we're in a household. He's an entrepreneur, been an entrepreneur for so long. And so we live comfortable. We have nice cars. We're good. The kids are good. Yeah, we got it. We ain't struggling. We're not starving, right? We're good. And so my mom had a chance to call me, and I told her, listen, I got laid off, and this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to get a job in there. Even if you get paid $5 an hour, $5 a month, however, you're going to have to survive, because this is what we did when my dad wasn't around. And so my mom has always been a hustler, right? And I got that from her. And of course she was in her feelings. But I said, that's what it is right now, and I can't do nothing. You got other kids.
Right.
You got 2 boys at that. They need to man up, and they need to step up. I can't do it all. And they did. My youngest brother did. My other brother, He was dealing with his own stuff, you know, and I respect that. I'm like, okay, you're dealing with your stuff, but you ain't got no kids. It's only you.
Help
you
your
need
mama.
to help mom. And he did. He did. I'm not even going to discredit that. He did. But at that time, I was also seeing a counselor, right? I was seeing a therapist, because now I'm pinpointing that I do have a depression. I have a symptom. I have something that I need to address, because for a long time I kept just dismissing it. And I just kept looking over it, not paying attention. I wasn't addressing anything. But I knew for a long time, this is way back in my childhood, that I had things that I had to address. Especially from the life that I come from, the lifestyle that I come from, I had to address those things, but I never did. But I guess that was the time that God said, you know what, you need to sit down and you need to listen to me now. Because you already done everything that you wanted to do, so now it's your time to sit there and let me do what I need to do, and you need to listen and you need to watch me work.
And you describing that, I think that's just so profound, because if you are a true believer and if you truly have faith, people always say, well, there's so many people that say that they can hear when God speaks to them, right? And then there's others that say, I don't hear anything. But sometimes what it is it's action based.
Absolutely.
Sometimes because you have so much noise going on around you that you can't hear God's voice. So in that moment, because he is so ever powerful, then he puts into action. Then COVID comes, shuts it down. And in that moment, I believe that was God's way of getting everybody's attention.
Everybody.
It was like, you all out here doing what y'all want to do. The world is going upside down.
Sinning and
everything. Lying, stealing, cheating, robbing, killing. And I done tried all kinds of things.
And it ain't working. So.
And I'm only getting hitting a little pockets of people at a time. No, I'm getting ready to hit all of y'all.
Right.
So when he did that, if I know for us, because I'm an extrovert. Like when I tell you, I was going crazy up in there, because I was like, yeah, we got this big house, but it's starting to feel small. Like these rooms are not big enough. You mean I can't get in my car? I just want to get in my car and ride down the street just to get some fresh air. But I want you to even talk about that part of it, because when God finally gets our attention, what does that feel like? How humbling does that become? And when it's almost like he puts this giant mirror in front of you and says, you can't see nothing else but you. That's the only person looking back at you.
Well, it didn't happen overnight. It took a long time for me to actually acknowledge him. Even though when I was in that room, I was reevaluating everything and just thinking through a lot of the things, and even mistakes that I made in the past that I wanted to correct, things that I needed to address with myself, as a woman, as a mother, and even as somebody's wife or girlfriend or fiance, right? But when you're stubborn,
amen. And they let the church say amen.
When you're a stubborn person, and the Lord knows his child, and he knows that I'm very stubborn. Even though I knew these things needed to be done and addressed and worked through, I still was not listening. And even though I was in that room for however long, I was not listening. But it took me a year after COVID. So during the whole, I got over COVID, and then I started learning to say no, right? And I'm owning up.
Complete sentence.
I'm owning up that I'm the bad guy, and I'm like, listen, y'all can call me whatever you want. I'm good, right? I was still suffering from my depression, and then that took a toll in my relationship. That affected it, that tarnished it a little bit, amongst other things. For another segment.
Come on, we got season 2, season 3, yeah.
But it took a toll in everything, even my friendships, because a lot of people, you know how they say that there's friendships that are here for a season, and there are the ones that are here for good, and the ones that are seasonal, the leaves just started falling off like leaves dry.
Just like this. Preach that.
A lot of friends, they stopped calling me, they stopped texting me, and I'm good with that. And I just came to terms that that's what it is. You no longer need me, right? I'm no longer serving anything.
I'm no longer pouring into you or making sure your grass is real green over there on the side. Mine is scorched. It's scorched, girl. It ain't dry. It's never to return.
So because now you see that I'm no longer serve a purpose in life. You cut me off, but guess what? I'm good.
Right.
When I lost my great grandmother, who is she raised part of my life. She was raising me. My heart got numb.
And so what year was that?
This was back in the 90s.
Okay, but this was your time of realizing you were still affected by this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, you know what? Listen, I lost the most important thing besides my mom, of course, and my father. That if you walk away right now, trust me,
the rippling effect won't be as big.
No, it won't. And I was okay. I was okay because now I see who are the ones that really, truly, genuinely loves me. They care about me, the kids. They were checking on me. They were saying, "Hey, are you good? What's up?" You know. And once things started becoming a bit normal, right, going back to normal,
right,
I was still depressed. I was seeing a therapist. I was back
working. You back on the grinds. And it's still there. It's still there. So you talked about one of the other things that was on our topic, which was no one is coming to save you, becoming your own rescue mission. And some of the things that you touched on was you started recognizing that it wasn't just COVID and that was what was making the depression come. You were realizing that this had been decades prior, right?
COVID was like a wake-up call.
Yeah, the whole kind of the straw that broke the camel's back sort of concept, right? So now you've always been the savior. You've never really put it out there that I need saving. So everybody now has this perception of Diana, that Diana's always good. Diana doesn't need anything. We don't have to send the lifeboat out for Diana, right? We don't have to do the wellness checks on Diana because Diana's always good.
Yeah.
So now you now come into the realization that no one is going to save you. And here's the other thing I realize sometimes with women like you and I that are heavily independent. Everybody, our entire world, friends, family, children, everybody depends on us. We can never take a sick day, right? That even in those moments, we wouldn't even know how to accept the help, even if it came.
Yeah.
Because
I'm so prideful.
And we don't want to be vulnerable. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm always the one helping. Absolutely not. Talk about that when you realize, one, no one's going to come help you. But even if they did, what would that look like for you? How would you receive it?
Man. You know, there's whenever I would get, there's people in my corner that truly do care about me. And I know that, like, my heart knows it, but because I've always been able to provide for myself and I've always gotten myself out of any situation by the grace of God, because it's not just me doing the work, it's Him. I feel like a bummy. Like I feel like I feel helpless. Like I feel like I was right here and you came and helped me. And this is not this. I hope this doesn't come out as I'm being too prideful. But I feel like I'm right here, and when you come to offer help because I'm stuck, and I don't want to say that I'm stuck, then I kind of go down.
Oh yeah, that's real. That's right. That is real.
Okay.
Yes, I have been there. I still struggle with that. It is very hard for me to relinquish. And to me, the problem is I recognize that it's a control thing for me. But that I can trace all the way back to my childhood. I can trace back that I was never given a safe place for me to know that it was okay to depend on anybody. Being the oldest of four, I'm the oldest of four. Being a latchkey kid. My mom wasn't incarcerated, but she was never home because she was a single mom working 2 jobs. So all the responsibility fell on me, decision making about what we were going to eat that night, helping get everybody's homework, their baths ran. Then I was always last. It was let me help everybody else. Then Deanna, now you could be okay with helping yourself. Let alone it wasn't an environment that taught me that getting help was not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. For you to actually open up your mouth and say to someone, I need help, there is so much strength in that. But we don't see that because we weren't given that foundation from the very beginning to even know that was okay, let alone how to formulate. Like I feel like that's eating glass. Like I'm getting ready to chomp on glass and tear the inside up.
I get a knot on myself whenever I need to ask someone for something because I've always got it. So I've always be the one that, you know what, I got it. I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
I feel like a knot on my throat whenever I need to call somebody. But I have put that in practice now because I'm not Wonder Woman.
Right.
And you know how like when you're on an airplane and the flight attendant says, put your mask on first and then you go help.
Save yourself first.
I was, because usually when I'm on the plane, I always put my earbuds on and I'm not paying attention to what she's saying because I'm like, I already got to put the little life jacket on. Okay. But this time, I guess God wanted me to just listen to what she was saying and put it in a different perspective, right? And so I sit down and she's, telling us all the
instructions,
and stuff like that. When she said that one sentence,
it hit different.
And I put it in practice.
So not just on the airplane.
No.
All the way across the board.
Yes. On every single thing that I have to do from now on, I said, I'm going to apply this.
Because it makes sense at the end of the day, you cannot save somebody else if you don't save yourself first. And it sounds so elementary, but again, if you have not been given that foundation from the very beginning, it'll take you being in your 40s to hear that for the first, although you've heard it countless times being on a plane.
Right.
But in that moment, it clicked.
I feel that whenever you always say yes to people, it's because you want to feel special and you want to be validated.
And you want to feel needed.
And I'm at a point in my life where as long as my kids need me, I'm good.
Because the rest of it can be very draining.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes there are so many individuals out there that I also believe that there are spirits and individuals out there that purposely go out and seek individuals that they know have that giving spirit, and they will manipulate it. And we don't even realize it.
Manipulation.
We don't even realize it because we're so caught up in our, I have such a giving heart, and if I have it, I'll give it, and if I can connect them to this person, I'll do it. Not realizing, for me, it took recently for a friendship that I thought was one way and didn't realize until exactly my year. You talked off camera about what your 2024 year was.
Yeah.
Mine was a year of purging and pruning. And so in that, not realizing what God was actually doing when I spoke those words out and said, God, I'm not going to do it on my own just because of the way my heart is. But something's not right. I'm not feeling right about certain people moving and who's in my circle. So help me in this space. Purge them even in a way where I didn't even want to even truly be able to see it because I know my spirit and I would try to salvage it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, God, not that one. It's okay, right? Not realize, no, that is the one. That's the one, right? And so it wasn't until God finally did exactly what I asked him to do. And I sat back, and at first I was in my feelings because I was like, well, she doesn't even act like she cares that the friendship isn't the same. So I got hurt by that, right? Because I was like, oh, so now I thought the friendship was one way, and apparently it wasn't.
Right.
But then I started analyzing her previous friendships or lack thereof, or relationships with close ones. And I said, well, if she will do that to them, why in the world, Deanna, did you think you were exempt? You talk about a major aha moment. Like, Deanna, why did you think you were special? And I had to check myself, Diana, because I said to myself, real talk, I felt I was special because I felt like I added a lot of value to not just her life, but the relationship, the friendship. And I'm like, there's got to be way more value here than maybe there wasn't in these other relationships. So that's why she wouldn't do me this way. That's why she wouldn't do a deal that up underneath me that I helped cultivate. Things like that. So I feel that a lot of times with us women, especially in those moments, and we don't know how to ask for help, we don't realize that there is manipulation in play. We don't understand a person's motives. Like, I'm in this space right now that I just want to know your motives. Like, I can deal with it. Like, if you came to me and you said, hey, Deanna, I've been watching you on social media. I just want to connect with you for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
You've told me up front.
Keep it 100.
Then that way I don't put more into it than it needs to be. I don't need to be calling you sis and girlfriend and let's go do this and that and the other. Diana has already told me exactly what she wants from this relationship. Let me stay in that lane.
And stand on that.
Guys, we got deep and heavy. We're going to take a quick break because we need to thank one of our major sponsors, which is the location that we are at right now, The Biz Lounge, located at 3660 Barker Cypress Road right here in Houston, Texas. So give us 5 minutes, watch this video about The Biz Lounge, and we'll be right back with the beautiful Miss Diana because we still got a couple more topics to talk about. The Biz Lounge is redefining the concept of workspaces by incorporating state-of-the-art technology with ergonomic designs in a space to foster creativity and productivity.
It's not just a workspace. This is a dynamic ecosystem designed for growth, inspiration, and connection.
We'll see you at the Biz Lounge. Welcome back, guys, to Let's Be Raw. I've got the beautiful Miss Diana here, and today's topic is Girl Get Up, Finding Your Strength When the World Shuts Down and You Do Too. So if you're just tuning in, you definitely need to make sure that you hit the rewind button, start this over, because her introduction and the two topics that we talked about before we went to break was just so impactful.
Absolutely.
And I know that was just the 30,000 foot level. I know we're still only scratching the surface because we could probably be here with 5 bottles of wine and you would still be able to tell more and more, right?
Right.
So next one is, I'm gonna actually skip ahead because some of our first ones still kind of, you talked a lot about your faith over feelings, pushing past depression, the power of stillness, what that isolation meant for you, right?
Right.
Let's talk about, I want to go back to the power of stillness and why isolation might have been your greatest breakthrough. Because that is, when we talk, that is one of the things that you kept mentioning was what happened during the time, but the beauty out of the ashes is what happened afterwards.
Yes.
So now I'm okay with, let's fast forward, because I think we gave a good overall view of when it happened, what was going on. And guys, y'all definitely got to stick and stay, because off camera, we talked about what her next episode is going to be, and that one's going to be explosive.
Absolutely.
Explosive, right? Yeah. So talk about now, we're a year later, and from that isolation, just some of the key 3 things that you want women to know that made you get up.
so a year after all of this turmoil kind of settled and we were somewhat back to normal, I started figuring out what was going to be my next move. Not as a mom or wife or anything, but as a person, as a woman. What was I going to be doing next? I needed to rebrand myself because I also had a boutique at the time. I had an online boutique. It was called Born to Slay.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and I was doing pop-up shows. I would host them, or sometimes I'll be part of it. I was also modeling at the time, and so with my depression, I put on weight. I pretty much gave myself up. My husband was really encouraging me to just go get my nails done, go get my hair done.
It was more internal.
Yeah,
that level of it wasn't external.
The external part of it, like, no. I think it was more so because when he met me, I was always dolled up, you know, or for the most part. Maybe that's what he wanted. He thought that was going to help me get my mood up, but nah. So I had to close down my boutique.
So now that's another death.
Right.
Like people don't realize that when you've birthed something, right? You've birthed an idea, went from that idea to possibly a hobby to a full-fledged business, to your branding, your name is out there. That is a birthing process. And I don't think a lot of people equate entrepreneurship in that way. And then when you have to close it down, that's a death. Which means you go through all the emotions. You think about how they talk about the 5 emotions of death. You go through all of that: denial, anger, like all of that.
It was a moment that I took my time, even shutting down the website, because prior to COVID, I was getting small little deals, like doing commercials, doing the runways, and I would also accessorize clients, you know, and do makeovers because I love fashion. I've always been in that type.
Yeah, we can tell you slaying over here. Come on, y'all recognize.
And so I've always loved that because as a child, my great grandmother's house, it was like kind of like the group home where everybody would go there to, if you didn't eat today, there was always a warm plate for you. So right below it was a tailor. And I learned how to sew because I've always loved designing and fashion. And so, my mom also, oh my gosh, I don't know if you ever heard of Cachet or J. Harris back in the day.
Yes.
That's where we used to shop.
Yeah, that was at Cachet too, honey.
Okay. So that's one of the stores that we would go. And sometimes when the things would first land, they'll call us and we'll go.
Okay.
That's how we were back.
Okay.
And so, anyway, Harvey happened, and so looters came and took all my inventory. And so I'm like, okay.
So you had a storefront at this time?
I had it in my house because I was working on. First, I wanted to just do online.
Okay.
Because I think about moms a lot. Okay, I think about single moms. We always on the hustle. We always on the go. We don't got time to go to the store and shop.
Right.
So what's the next best thing to do?
Right.
Shop online.
That's right.
Shout out to Amazon.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. Wait a minute. They need to be a sponsor before we shout them out. Go ahead.
But anyway, so yeah, that happened. So that was a small setback for me. So I've been going from setback to setback to setback, but I've always been bouncing back by the grace of God. And so when I opened Born to Slay, okay, cool. Now I'm starting a little bit smaller, but it's fine. Then COVID hit 2 years later, and now I'm like, okay, I need to do other things. So I would go online, do live Facebook lives or Instagram lives. I would just throw sales because people was at home not doing anything, just scrolling through their phones. And so I'm like, okay, I could do all this packaging and ship it out, but I have to figure out how to get out of the house. And so I managed to do that, and it was okay for a while. And then once we got back to our normal, I did the events and everything, but it wasn't the same.
It wasn't
anymore.
the same.
I had lost my mojo. I had lost the interest of Born to Slay. I have lost.
Because this is all during the time of the depression and everything.
I got so turned off by Born to Slay because I'm like, okay, now we're in a different space. We have to adjust now to the new change, right? And so what am I going to do with all this stuff? People right now are trying to survive. Everybody's in survival.
Ain't nobody thinking about shopping online.
Ain't nobody trying to thinking about
because where they gonna go? They can't get cute and go anywhere.
Right. And so, and even after we got back out, I still was not interested in the boutique anymore. I left it there, left the website up. I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out, you know? But then I got in construction. So
talk about a pivot. Online boutique for fashion. And now we over here in this male-dominated industry, construction.
Because mind you, fashion is also a male-dominated industry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Now it's different.
Okay.
But back in the day, it was
still,
only more like male than females. And it was hard to get in that. But it was cool because I got to meet a lot of wonderful people. And I still keep in contact with some of them to this day. And I also have supporters that they still sometimes, hey, boy, just I see you. You know, they'll see me and they'll recognize me. And that's a good feeling. Even though I'm no longer, you know, I have that boutique, I still get the recognition. But when I transitioned into construction, it was a different ballgame because now I got to get toe to toe with men.
Yes. Like you, because I'm in construction too. So that other side, I say, this ain't the Deanna you get. I got the top bun, my construction clothes
Boots,
on,
jeans
everything.
on, like
and
you ain't all dolled up.
Even the bass and the voice changes. You're right. All of this changes. We not about the face card declining at this point. We about, I'm here to be business and I'm looking you straight in your eyes. Don't you look anywhere else but here, right? And let me go ahead and shut it all down. This is only a business meeting.
Mind you, my background is in accounting. I had I think in my early 20s, I worked for a construction company, but I was a receptionist. But I learned from that. You know, because you got to do the orders, right? So I learned from it, but I wasn't 100% experienced or knew the ins and outs of being in a construction or even running a company. And he pretty much gave me the whole majority of the control of the company, from the finances to dealing with the workers and the contracts and all that stuff. And I guess that was a way of him helping me get out of that sunken place that I was in. And for that, I will be forever grateful with him because he knew that if I keep busy, I'm not really thinking about it. But mind you, although I'm out and about, I'm doing things, I'm still not. I still have this dark cloud over my head.
Right.
And one day, about a year after that, this was now 22.
Okay.
Summertime comes and I was not myself. I've gained weight. My clothes weren't fitting me anymore. Things were a bit rocky at home. My kids, me emotionally, my husband with a lot of stuff. Now he's dealing with other business ventures that he's working on. And so all of that alone, even though I was being there, I was there present, my mind wasn't there. I was sitting there with my kids, just engaging with them or engaging with friends, but I was not there.
The body was.
My body was, but I was not mentally there. And I thought I wasn't worth anything at that point. I thought that that my time on earth was just, it was coming and the clock was ticking. And one day, this was summer and the kids were in summer school. I was gonna end my life.
Let's take a breath. Take a breath with that one, because that's heavy.
Yeah,
that's
it
heavy,
was very
right?
heavy because people only see the
Glitz
Diana that laughs and and I'm a spicy girl. I told you I'm a spicy.
We
Latina.
can tell on camera, even in these serious moments, you give that energy.
Yeah, it was a lot of things. Back to COVID, when I sat back and I was observing everything and I cleared my lenses, all of that came back 22.
2 years later.
everything came back. Then at that time, my mom also had a hearing because she needed to get released soon. And although I'm working, I'm still not making enough like I was doing before. I'm still trying to pick up the pieces and put them all in place. And shout out to my mother-in-law, because she was my rock at that time. I don't know what I would have done without my
Shout out to them good mother-in-laws out there. I got a really great mother-in-law too.
Man, my mother-in-law, she is my girl, okay? She is my girl, and if it had not been for her, I don't know where I would be today.
So put us back, because I don't want to skip over. Yeah. Put us back to 2022. Take us back there.
So
give us the visuals.
22 was a lot of changes. We got married, but again, we moving forward everything, but I'm still not 100% myself. I'm still not 100% Diana. I'm still not 100% me. And I'm gonna also reveal something else later on, but that day, it was just a regular day. He had went to work, the kids were in summer school, and I went in the room, and I was gonna end my life.
And how were you gonna go about it?
And so we have guns at home. And yeah, that's pretty much how I was gonna do it. But by the grace of God and my dog.
Yeah, I was getting, because the next thing's gonna be,
has the tendency of barging in every room because he owns the house.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so
shout out to Django.
Shout out to Django.
So you're in the room. Is the gun in the hand? Is it near you?
It's on my hand. And I'm just going back and forth rocking, and I'm taking it back to when I was a child. You know? Taking it back to when I was a kid, and everything that I had to endure, everything that I was exposed to from the lifestyle. But that's going to be in my book when it's coming. But everything, like, my mind took me back to Colombia.
Oh, wow.
It took me back to my great-grandmother.
Her passing.
And it took me back to when I met my sister, because my sister was born here. When I met my brother, it took me back to a time when I just didn't want to remember those things anymore. I wanted to kind of just leave them behind me, you know? And I guess it was a way of Satan playing with me. Satan was busy with me that day, because I got up, I sent my kids off to school. He went about his day, and I stayed home. And he pretty much said, okay, this is your last day on earth. You gotta go. You know, and
played a movie reel of some of the most painful moments in your life.
Took me back to the time when I moved out of my house, my mom's house at 18. It took me back to times when I thought that I was just not going to make it. It was a horrible, horrible day and a horrible feeling, Diana. It was like, it's like you taking me back so that I don't understand if that was a reason, like enough reason for me to end my life. I don't know if that was his motive, but if it had not been because my dog barks in the room, I would have not been sitting here today. And I hugged my kids so tightly that morning because I woke up tired. I woke up against my will, and I was doing that since COVID.
And you were on autopilot. Even the whole I'm hugging my kids and I'm kissing my husband, all of that was autopilot.
Yeah, I remember that day I got up and woke him up, got them ready for school. They got on the bus, put the dog outside. I brewed my coffee every morning. And I remember hugging him so tightly. And days before that, I told my dad, I called him and I said, hey, listen, you may want to come get the kids for a couple of days. He's like, but I'm out of town. I said, I'm gonna need you to make the drive. And he said, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna need you. I told him I'm gonna need you to make that effort and come get them for a couple of days. And he was puzzled by me calling him saying that, because
again, you don't call and ask for help.
No,
right.
I don't.
Right, I get it. I
don't. And so that day, it was after 12. I remember that, and I was just pacing. And as I'm pacing back and forth, I looked to my left, and we had photos of the kids when they were little, and I could not stop crying, because those kids are my life. They're my life.
And even in those moments, I can only imagine that you're battling with, I need to be here for them, but I can't even be here for myself.
Right.
So how do I operate and not feel that I'm being selfish one way or the other? But the decisions, I was talking to my son the other night just about a situation, and just talking about how the ripples in our life, like taking a rock and skipping it across the lake. And sometimes when it goes, it only leaves one ripple. But there's some moments that the ripples just keep going on, and you don't even see where it's going to end. And if you would have followed through with that, the rippling effects to your children would have been generational. Right. It wouldn't have even stopped with them.
Right.
Because their story would now be buried and built on all of everything that y'all would have experienced the years before would have been lost. Their storyline would have started with, we came home from school, it was a normal day, and mom is no longer here. And the worst part for children is when you don't even have the opportunity to ask the story. Why?
Right.
What was happening? What was going on? And for children, my mother suffers from a lot of different levels of depression. So I understand depression severely. Anxiety, manic moments. She's bipolar now. All these things that she was never diagnosed with when I was coming up, right? But she had a very similar situation where she was push everything under the rug and I'm good. And one life moment broke it all. And all that dust that she had been pushing under that rug came out like mounds, like it just consumed her, right? And I think about now that there's times where I want to ask my mother certain questions, but she's not in her right frame of mind. But it's even worse when your mother is no longer here.
Right.
Because I fear. I get so concerned when I start feeling like I'm stressing about something too much, or I'm starting to go quiet more, or I feel like I'm starting to pull myself in. Let me tell you, the fear of my mom pops in my head. And I'm like, Deanna, if you don't address this, because her DNA courses through my veins. I pray every day. I'm like, Lord, I'm okay with if you took my bodily function, but don't take my mind. Because that's where it all starts. Right. And so for your children, just knowing that they would have never been able to ask those questions to you. And now, how would they have grown up thinking, well, what if this happens to me? Or mom just showed me that this is an out. This is okay.
Right.
If life gets hard, because it's going to get hard, okay?
Yeah.
You ain't even got to go look for hard.
It just comes to you sometimes. It
just comes to you.
Asking.
So you're looking at these pictures, you're crying, you're pacing back and forth. You got this, gun right here that could just take all the pain away. And besides the dog, what happens internally inside of Diana that says, girl, get up?
My body, I felt like my body wasn't there. Like my spirit wasn't there. I felt like I was just like floating, honestly. I was rocking back and forth and everything, but I honestly felt my body was floating. And when I remember when Django, he comes in the room, he starts licking my hand. And dogs have the tendency of like getting in between you and all of that, and he got like, I'm like this, and he got right in the middle of it, and he just put his face right up on my face, like right here. And to me, that was just like, a wake-up call, I guess, like a come back to reality kind of thing, because he then jumped on me.
Like making you snap out of it.
Yeah. And ever since then, he hugs my legs. He wraps them around. He likes to wrap his arms around.
He can sense.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I put it away. I got on my knees. I asked for forgiveness. I cried like there was no tomorrow that day. And I asked for forgiveness. The kids came home, and we have one-on-ones, like I mentioned earlier. And I didn't tell them,
right.
But I did had a conversation with them. I'm like, hey guys, just wanted to say I'm sorry if I ever snapped at you. And it's a constant thing as a parent that you have to have those type of conversations.
And that acknowledgement.
I have been, besides my depression, so overwhelmed with trying to get that out of me that I snap. I snap.
You go from 0 to 100 real quick. Yeah.
Yes. And so with everything else that was piling up and things that were just coming in and out of the woodworks and finding stuff out, I'm like, yo, like, I need to pray.
Right. Look, Lord, I don't know how much more. I know that what saying, Lord, he won't give you more than you can handle, but you over here like, Lord, I'm tapping out.
I'm like,
tapping
okay,
out.
I get it. I'm sorry. And I made a promise that when my kids get older, I am going to have those conversations, because it's going to be in the book. And I know if at some point they're going to read it and they're going to be like, Mom, what happened? Like, you know, so I've always been honest with them. And so they get home, nothing happened. I made dinner, we said grace, we ate. But I told my therapist, and we had a 2-hour session.
Of course.
And she sent me, of course, some information. I reached out to my pastor. I went to church. My husband didn't know about it until months later. Then I told him about it. But after that, I told myself that I had to work on not letting that ever take over me. Not let Satan take over my body, my mind, or soul, my spirit ever again.
Right.
No matter what I'm going through, I made a commitment to those children that I was going to be here for them.
Right.
I made a commitment to myself. And even though now that so many years have passed and I am better now to a certain extent, I now feel like a weight has been off my shoulders. I realized that everybody was going to move on with or without me.
The world won't stop.
The world is not going to stop. When COVID happened, and then I started telling people, I can't, no. And they went on to the next person, or they
found a way
to figure it out and make it happen. I said, okay, so now I see that the majority was my fault because I'm enabling everybody around me, right? Including my mother. My mother is now home, and I put some money aside to make sure that she had a cushion when she got home. And I said, this is yours, and you figure out what you're going to do. But guess what?
That's it. Right.
I help you here and there because you're my mother. You brought me to this world.
But you can't depend on me 100%.
You can't. And of course, why now? Because what happens sometimes with parents, especially in my culture, parents feel entitled. I sacrificed for you. I helped you. I was there for you. Turn. I gave you life, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get all of that.
Right.
I get all of that. But keep in mind that now it's my turn to live.
And the love should not be transactional.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be. It should be, if my daughter has it, I've raised her enough to know that she will give when she sees that I need it.
Right.
But it can't be an expectation.
Absolutely. And not just with her, but with most that was around me at the time. It was like an expectation. And once I started just falling back and everybody just started going their separate ways, even though at times I'm like, I miss having them around, I didn't miss them.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Because once I got up and I found the strength after that moment that I almost want to end my life, for something that could have been addressed better and fixed. If I only had allowed people to help me, if I had only been more open, if I had only just been more transparent,
Say that again. Yeah.
and not putting this shield and not putting this front that I'm okay all the time when I know I'm not okay. It's okay not to be okay.
It's okay to not be okay.
It's okay for you to have bad days. It's okay for you not to feel like you want to get up from bed. And for me, with depression, even though I was depressed and I didn't feel like getting up, I still had to get up against my will because I had people depending on me at my home, you know, and all of that took a toll because I'm like, okay, everybody's gone now. What do I do?
That's right.
What do I do?
What do I do?
And so, of course, Satan sees it. I'm like, what do I do? He comes.
Our minds for Satan is a playground, honey. And all he got to do is find a couple of different pieces in your memory bank and make them so vivid as if they're happening in today's time.
And he did just that. And when I decided, so this is how, and this is how I got up finally. After all the trials and tribulations I endured for so many years, Deanna, I went to my tax preparer.
Okay, come on now. It's got to be a silver lining to the whole story, right?
Oh, Lord. So I went to my tax preparer and she's doing my taxes. I'm just sitting there and I'm just looking around. I'm like, hey, how can I get in this field? Because now it's time for Diana to reinvent herself. I need to rebrand myself. I need to let go of the hurt, let go of resentment. Although I'm not 100% letting go, at least I am a work in progress.
Right.
I switched my therapist because my therapist at the time, she retired. I love her to death and I miss her dearly. But who I have now is amazing. And it's okay to seek help.
Right.
People don't want to seek a therapist because they believe that you're going to be labeled as a crazy person or you're weak. Depression is not for the weak.
No, and for you to get up after that visual that you just painted for us.
No.
If you didn't learn anything else about yourself during that time, you had to learn, one, you a child of God because you're still here.
Yeah, amen.
And he was not going to let his child of God
God's
go out
right here.
that way, right?
Yeah.
But two, talk about, it's one thing to say I'm a strong woman and I'm an independent woman. But when you go through something that tests the very core and essence of who you are, and you still able to dig deep enough to find that strength to get up and to put one more time, put this foot in front of that foot and I'm gonna move. Because the more you sit still, the worse it becomes, right? You got to get up and then you got to move.
I stopped being a yes person. Although, and this is something that for the first time I'm going to admit, I was around a lot of yes people.
So obviously,
and
your environment,
right, enabled a lot of my bad behavior, such as entitlement. And I had to reevaluate myself. And when I decided to rebrand myself and find the healing that I needed, and actually put the efforts into moving forward and stop being on the floor and being a doormat and allowing people to just walk all over me, I took a leap of faith.
And you bet on yourself.
And I bet on myself. And the person that I at my tax preparer at the time that I talked to, she bet on me too. And she believed in me. She gave me that opportunity. And her and her future husband, they're getting married soon. But she called me. She's like, I'm gonna call you. And she did. She called me 3 months later. And I went to training. I put all my efforts into that. I started just reading stuff, doing research, and I kept busy. And I was still doing the construction part.
Right.
I was still doing that part of that, but I started now focusing on what Diana wanted. And what I wanted to do was being independent again and bounce back and be that one it girl. Be that it girl. And I worked. I started just interacting with people that either had similar backgrounds as I did, or went through some of the stuff that I went through, or people that just shared their stories while I was doing their taxes, and we would pray. And God started speaking to them through me. And I don't carry my Bible under my arm right now. I don't.
But you don't even have to do that. A woman of God is clothed in a spirit and a covering that it's not, you don't even have to know how to speak in tongues. You don't even have to know how to recite the Bible from front to back.
Right.
It will be just something about your aura that will let people know that's a child of God. That's a woman of God.
Yeah.
You can't say anything to her. You can't treat her any kind of way. You can't spit lies and stuff like that, because she gonna see it. She gonna know it.
Diana, when I tell you that I felt renewed, I feel like I was reborn again. I feel like I had found, and I had to forgive myself. I had to ask for forgiveness.
See, that's one of the three. So you talked about the power of getting up and moving, right?
Yes.
Learning how to be able to say that I'm not okay.
Yes.
Right? But the third is
forgiving myself. I did. I had to stand in the mirror. I was taking a shower. I got out of the mirror, and I get in the mirror, and I'm looking at myself, and somehow I just started talking to myself. And for a long time, because for years I was not looking at myself. I was looking to do my hair, brush my hair, do my makeup,
all that exterior,
all of that. But I wasn't talking to my inner self. I wasn't apologizing. I wasn't saying anything. And I looked at myself. I'm like, oh. And I apologized to myself. I hit 40.
Talk about them milestones, right? Yes. Don't look it. Don't look it.
Oh my God. Once I hit 40, Diana, it was like a new version of me.
That's right.
And it was better.
Yes. Yes. Amen to that.
I came back and I was just like swinging.
Yes. Yes.
And it helped me also have, again, it's a work in progress, have a better relationship with myself, have a better relationship with my father. With my mom, we're still a work in progress. Even a better relationship with my kids.
Okay.
We still have our moments because they're kids, you know, and they're preteens, and it's a challenge every day, especially in the world we live in with children. Right. And so, just having that.
Well, I love the fact that we're at the end of our episode, but there's so much more that obviously we could delve into. But what I love is how you come full circle. What I love is because so many people could still be in that story. They could still be 5 years ago in COVID and still living there.
Yes.
And so to go from where we started out at the beginning of this episode, lighthearted, you're happy. We went through a moment of this is some realness, this is some rawness. You wanted transparency, Deanna. This is some real shit that I went through.
Right.
To now, you glowing, sis.
Yeah.
Like you got a glow about
and
you.
Once you let go of the people who keeps you just still and it doesn't let you move forward. When you let go of those people, blessings start.
Ooh, say that. I just got confirmation chills. When you let go.
When I started letting go of people that were toxic.
Yeah.
People that were draining. People that were just absolutely bringing me down and setting me back to that place. Blessings started coming.
Yeah. Because the thing I'm going to end on this is God does not work in confusion. So anytime in your life when it is confusing, you don't understand what's happening, you questioning those around you near and far, when you are just like, I don't understand what's happening right now, why it's happening, understand that ain't God, because he don't operate that way. Absolutely. And I truly believe that when you are in that space, until you literally listen to him and be obedient to him. But once that confusion is out of place, I always say, Lord, my hands are like catcher's mitts. I'm just trying to catch the blessings. I don't want nothing to pass by. Do I need to jump here? Do I need to lean here? Because when you've been in all of that confusion and, frustration and turmoil and trauma, you just lost. You're defeated. Your hands aren't up. Even if blessings were coming your way, you wouldn't be able to catch them. But that moment of transformation and rebirth,
and I'm back in my element.
Oh, I can tell, girlfriend.
I'm back in my element.
Well, welcome back,
Thank
Diana. Guys, if you all did not take away so many gems, got a chance to be able to witness a real, raw, and authentic woman share just a piece of her story, I want to make sure that you also follow her. I'm going to let her tell you where to follow her. Also, more importantly, because she's releasing a book. She's part of my LBR book club. So when that book comes out, that will definitely be one that we will be reading and supporting you, sis.
Yes, thank you.
But guys, this was such an amazing interview. It surpassed, Diana, what I thought. And I this is the other thing, and this is one of these transparent moments that I want to also talk about. As Diana and I are, just kind of communicating about what the story is, and most women are like, oh, I don't know if I want to be on, I don't want to do this. But you just leaped at it, sis. You just was like, no, I'm ready. I want to share this story.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely.
This was amazing.
I'm glad that I was given this platform to share, because there's people out there that are going through what I went through. And just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
You just got to be searching for it.
You just got to search for it. You have to keep faith. You have to keep going. Don't give up, and let go of what hurts you and sets you back. That's it.
Diana, tell the people how they can follow you and support you.
Well, so with the whole change and transition, I also have a business, is a tax firm, as well as bookkeeping. I'm a notary, and you guys can find me at legacytax.bookkeeping.
All righty. So, guys, we're going to end this episode, but I don't want to end it without first thanking our other amazing sponsor, which is Knock Knock. It is a digital business card on steroids. So we're going to let you take a look at this video. Tune in next week, because we have another amazing, real, raw, and authentic woman who's going to give us another transformational story and something that we hope you're going to relate to.
Yes.
Until next time. Cheers, sis.
Cheers.
We'll see y'all later.
Have you ever wondered how to keep up with the pace of our rapidly evolving world? How to seize the opportunities that are often fleeting in today's fast-paced lifestyle? Introducing Knock Knock, the digital solution designed to help you connect in even the most frenzied environments. Whether you find yourself in the midst of a bustling conference, navigating the chaos of an airport, or immersed in the vibrant city nightlife, Knock Knock empowers you to make connections seamlessly. With just a simple tap, you can integrate contacts instantly, ensuring no opportunity slips through your fingers. But Knock Knock isn't just about networking. It's about bridging the gap between your various brands. With Knock Knock, switching between your brands becomes as effortless as a single tap. No more navigating through endless web links or scanning QR codes. Knock Knock is the app that brings networking and e-commerce into the palm of your hand, making connections, making sales, and managing your brands effortless and instantaneous. Welcome to the revolution of technology and networking, brought to you by the Knight & Group Technologies division. With Knock Knock, the power to connect is just a tap away.